Okay, so welcome back to another video. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a review of the 2018 Hyundai I30N performance package model. I haven't done anything like this before, so I've tried to be as non-biased as possible in what I'm going to say today. So yeah, I'll get into it. I mean, we're going to start with the exterior, obviously, because that's what we see first. This is a 2018 model. It's got custom plates that you wouldn't know, but it is the 2018 model before the facelift in 2020. So this is what it looked like before that. Very angular at a lot of points, quite aggressive looking. I had a Mark V GTI before this, and it's quite round compared. This is very yeah, lots of vents everywhere and doing things, and they actually do things, as I'll explain in a minute. We've got these nice red accents along a lot of the trim. I know it needs cleaning, don't bother telling me. You've got one along the front as well, some down the sides. Red accents along the trim, which looks brilliant in this white colour it's got on here. Obviously you'll see the dual exit exhaust at the back, which are switchable as well, which I'll show you later. It does come with 19-inch alloys stock. Obviously these are not the stock alloys, these are MC14s I believe, but they are not stock. However, the red calipers are stock, and on the front they've even got N logo branding on them, which does look very nice from the outside, if I do say so myself. So yeah, these obviously aren't the stock alloys, but they would be the same size and everything. We've got more red trim around the front here, and we've got vents here which lead air just over the front brakes to cool them down, so it isn't completely pointless. We've got a bit of M branding on the front, and yeah, like I said, a very aggressive kind of look to it. Okay, so now we move on to the practicality. It's got a 381 litre capacity boot, which is down on the 395 if you didn't have the performance package, as it's taken out by some rigidity in the sides and the roll bar in there, which is all included with the performance package. So you do lose, give or take, 10 litres, but I doubt that's something you're really going to be missing too much. As far as practicality goes, up front, you've got door bins for 3 bottles, pockets in the doors. You've got space in the armrest, 2 cup holders in the center, space ahead of the gear lever here with a wireless charging pad on it. Same sized glove box as the standard i30, so you're not losing any space there. Obviously more door bins in the back as well. So you've got a very decent amount of practicality for obviously what is a performance tailored car. So now I'm going to move on to the running costs, everyday usage and economy and stuff like that of this car. It's the economy stated by Hyundai is 34. As you can see from here, my average is 22.8 over 7,000 miles. That may just be because of how I drive it, but yeah, it's stated 34 by Hyundai. If you had it in eco mode most of the time, I'm sure you could get something like that if you drove on the motorway a lot and had it in eco mode. But to be honest, everyday usage, you're looking at 30, 29, 28, depending on how you drive. Obviously, this isn't a car that you should be worried about if you've got something like this, because that's not what you've bought it for. This isn't something you get if you want great fuel economy, but obviously it's something to mention. And as well, due to the performance rated things on here, when you're replacing things such as brake discs, brake pads, they are going to be bigger. In this case, they are actually a different size to the standard i30 as well, so it will cost you more to replace things like that. And the tires as well, obviously they're quite a thin profile. They are going to cost you more than if it was a standard i30. They have to be speed rated and everything, obviously. So that is something to think about if you're thinking of daily running costs for this vehicle. Okay, so now we're going to talk about really what I'm sure you came here for, a bit of the performance statistics. So obviously it's driven by a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo engine here, producing 275 brake horsepower stock, which obviously is quite a bit less than a Civic Type R, for example, which I believe is about 315, or Audi RS3s can obviously go 390-ish stock. So yeah, in a straight line, it is going to be lacking power against the competitors like that, which is a theme that if you do research into this, is something that people tend to mention a lot, is that it's definitely not tailored for straight line performance. The power is lacking with other things. It's also obviously front wheel drive. So you've got 275 horsepower driven by the front wheels, 6-speed manual gearbox this one is as well. So in a straight line, you're not going to win against an RS3, but it's made a bit more for the cornering. The steering on this car has always been praised to be very responsive, very nice feeling at high speeds, and also it changes up when you're going a bit slower, so it doesn't feel twitchy, anything like that. The only side effect to this is the turning circle is shocking. The wheel only does about 1 full rotation, meaning if you're in like a multi-story car park, something like that, something to be mentioned is you will be doing a lot of 3-point turns, because it is actually hard to get around. I know it sounds stupid, but it genuinely is a lot of the time. But for the rest of the time, the steering feels absolutely brilliant. It's got a limited slip differential for the front wheels, which obviously varies the power to avoid understeer, which makes it very confident going quickly or anything through corners. You know, after a couple hours in this car, you can pretty much floor it around corners, to be fair, a lot of the time. It feels very confident on the road. You don't feel like you're about to die or roll off the road or anything like that. There's a lot of you know, technology coming in the background to make sure that you're not going to die. We've also got, it is a 6-speed manual, but it does rev match, which is, you can turn it off, hence the rev button on the steering wheel. But obviously that means it will blip the throttle between gear changes, so the car doesn't lurch forward. You've also got, just up at the top there, almost like rally lights. Like obviously they change color, so they start green, go yellow and red when you should be gearing up. Another thing to mention is we've also got launch control. So the car has to be in its N performance mode with ESC Sport turned on. Clutch goes down into first, floor it, and it will engage launch control. Nice and simple. It's nothing like you see a lot of Porsches and stuff like that. It's incredibly difficult to engage their launch control. Obviously it's something I've only really used once or twice, but if you did want it, it's very easy to engage and works very well. Yeah, so it's also got an electronically adjustable suspension, obviously, which is changeable through the drive mode button on the steering wheel here. So you've got normal, sport, eco, and then with the race button on this side, you've got N mode or an N custom mode. But the suspension varies throughout all of it. And there is an N mode setting on this screen here, which gives you 0 to 60 timers built in, stuff like that. It gives you stats on your power and torque and turbo and everything. But you can also go into the custom settings which is obviously what engages when you go into N custom mode. You can literally change everything. So you can change how quick the engine is to respond. You can change if the rev matching is on or off, the LSD, the exhaust sound, whether it pops and bangs, stuff like that. You can change how the suspension feels. So at the moment even in my N mode, I've got it in normal mode to make it as comfortable as possible, because to be honest, it's not a comfortable car. So Sport Plus is incredibly uncomfortable. You can change how the steering feels. I like that maximum road feel. And obviously all of this stuff is all interchangeable through this screen here. So it's not just like, you know, you set a mode, that's it. There's custom modes. You can choose everything about what the car does, how it performs. So it's all very tailored to you and how you like it. So now we'll move on to the interior. I know you've already seen a little bit of it, but you've got a 10.25-inch screen in the middle here. It is a little bit just kind of stuck on the middle of the dashboard, kind of looks like it's been glued on. No, it doesn't sink down or anything like that. That's just how it is, which, you know, as a lot of people have said with this, your money in this really goes on the performance, the suspension, the steering, stuff like that. So it's there are compromises in stuff like this. But again, obviously, you go buy a Polo if that's not what you're after. So it's what you expect, and it's good in a lot of ways because it means the actual drive itself is so much more rewarding. But yeah, so you've got your infotainment screen there. It's got built-in sat nav. Obviously, you can use everything like that. It's got display with your Bluetooth radios in there. It's also got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They are wired in this. There isn't wireless, but you can buy a cheap little dongle like this, like I've got it unplugged at the moment because every time I try and record with my phone, it connects. But that will make it wireless, which actually does work very well as well. I have had no complaints about that. You've also got things like button here on the steering wheel for your voice assistant, like Google or Siri, whatever you're using. That will change your source, obviously pick up phone calls, swap the song, volume up and down. That will change your menu on the screen there, which will give you your options for your lane assist. So it does have things like that. You've also obviously got cruise control, as you would have in this. Not adaptive cruise control though, just the standard one. Yeah, so you've got buttons down here. If you had the model with heated seats and a heated steering wheel, those buttons would be here, but I can't afford that model, so these are bits of plastic. But obviously you've got a button here to turn your traction control on and off. This is a button to stop the auto start-stop feature. So obviously you put the car in neutral, take the clutch out at a light or something, it will turn the engine off normally. You can turn that off here. Obviously here you've got your parking sensors all around. You've also got, when the car goes into reverse, you've got a reversing camera which will come up on the screen. Obviously sensors all around the car. When you put the car in reverse as well, the mirrors will dip down so you can see just a bit more of where your wheels are going, where you're actually parking. So there are actually quite a hefty amount of features on this for something that is tailored for performance. It's obviously a start-stop, keyless entry, keyless start. I think my cat just walked in front of the car. But yeah, keyless entry, keyless start, keyless everything. The mirrors obviously go in automatically when you lock the car. It's also got memory seats on the driver's seat, which is nice, and electronically adjustable seats here. Lots of adjustment. You've got lumbar support, back and forth, up and down. That's on the passenger seat as well. They're both electronic, so makes for a lot of adjustment, a lot of comfort actually for something you might not expect. Up the top, excuse me, up the top here you've got obviously just your standard lights, holder for some sunglasses, mirrors, you know, the normal things, but worth mentioning nonetheless. You've got obviously your climate control down here in the middle, which if it was on, you can set temperature, obviously fan, everything you normally can. There would be heated seats and stuff, but I don't have that option. But yeah, there is a lot of features you might not think. Where if you had the 2020 model, it comes with an electronic handbrake, but this one, 2018 model, I've got a manual handbrake, which may seem weird. To be fair, a lot of 2018 models do have electronic handbrakes, I believe, but not this one. So if that's something that matters a lot to you, then fair enough. You've also got auto high beam headlights, as you can see at the top there. So if someone's coming, if it detects someone ahead of you, it will turn them off as to not dazzle the other drivers, which is always nice. So I think that's that for interior actually. Now I will mention a bit about safety features. Obviously you've got airbags almost everywhere. There could be airbags, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. The lane assist obviously has it's a lane departure warning as well, and will turn off the system if you don't touch the wheel for a while. So it's not like it will just drive you unlimited, you know, while you're asleep. It will beep at you and it will tell you what you're doing wrong. It's also got an emergency braking system, obviously, as a lot of newer cars do nowadays, to Obviously, if it detects you coming up to someone, you know, you're about to rear end them, it will stop the car for you. I've already mentioned the auto headlights, which probably counts as a safety system. So my overall verdict on the Hyundai I30N performance is obviously maybe a little bit biased, because this isn't a car I've got to review for the week. This is my daily. So maybe a little bit biased, and I understand that, but I've tried to tell you all the negatives I can, hopefully been useful for you. But yeah, the overall verdict, I would say it really does depend what you're after. If you want drag racing, straight line performance, go for a Civic Type R. But if you want something that's a little bit less common, something people will look at and say, what the hell's that? Something that's got obviously switchable exhaust, pops and bangs from stock. There aren't many hot hatches that do that nowadays, obviously with all the changing regulations and stuff as well. So it's definitely a rare breed, I would say. Obviously competing with things like the Golf GTI, Civic Type R, RS3, Focus ST, all of these type of things is a hard challenge for Hyundai, seeing as they haven't really done anything like this before. But I think they've really pulled it out of the bag, and yeah, considering a new Golf GTI is more expensive, so you know, it's not a straight swap. It is more expensive. You're getting just as much fun with this, and it's different. So yeah, if you have any other opinions, just leave them down in the comments, and I hope this was useful.